the settings down below in the three double points, and you can do activate captions, and you can in the settings you can choose also Spanish. So that's a little tip. Where do I have a short introduction, David, about what
I think we'll hand it over to Ignacio first for the general introductions, and then go from there.
Then I start streaming. All right.
There you go. And then there's already a question.
So Gino is raising his hand very early.
Yes.
Go ahead, Gino.
No, I just wanted to say that that what Tom just said is amazingly useful, especially for those that do not have like really good skills of English communication. So maybe before actually starting the webinar, maybe we can tell our presenter, our attendants in Spanish that they can enable the subtitles.
Yeah, good idea.
Okay.
Bueno, gente, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo están? Mi nombre es Gino, yo soy un participante como todos ustedes. Básicamente, Tom nos acaba de dar un muy buen consejo, dado que él no habla español, pero nos indicó que hay una forma de agregar subtítulos a la reunión que se generan automáticamente y se pueden traducir al español. Para hacer esto, en la parte de abajo del Google Meet, a la par del botón de colgar, hay 3 puntitos. Este botoncito, cuando ustedes lo tocan, hay un botón que dice activar subtítulos, y a la hora de tocar ese activar subtítulos, ustedes pueden también seleccionar la opción. Hay como un engranaje, el cual ustedes pueden tocar y traducir al español del inglés. And that was it. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Well, welcome everybody. We sent an invitation telling people that the activity will be held in English. So most of the people will understand. I will only ask our speakers to speak slowly, and that will make it intelligible for everybody, I think. And thank you, Gino, and Tom for suggesting the captions. 3 dots, 3 puntos. Ustedes pueden escoger ahí, hacer subtítulos o turn on the captions. Okay. Thank you. So thank you very much to Marco for helping organize this, David Moison for his support. We have Tom and Sarah already. I don't know you before, so I would first ask you to introduce yourselves, who you are, what do you do, and then in the discussion we will know how did you get into the no-code, low-code world view and making things happen, which is the real meat of this, sorry for vegetarians, of this meeting today. So perhaps Sarah, could you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name's Sarah. I'm the founder and CEO of Mindsful, a mental health platform to assist adults and children on their mental health journey. I also work with NHS England to launch digital solutions across the healthcare network in the UK, the United Kingdom. I came across no code, low code when I was speaking with David Moison, and found out about the ease of the platform based upon what we were already doing, looking at developing our platform, and we just fell in love with the ease and the lack of complexity that was needed to build our platform, and how agile it was. So for us working in the healthcare space, there's a massive need to sort of be able to change things quickly. So that's why our journey started with the low code no code platform.
Thank you. So we will know much more about your experiences and your views on this in the next few minutes. Perhaps Tom can introduce yourself, please.
Yes, my name is Tom van der Arend. I work for Evidentia. I'm a Chief Innovation Officer. Evidentia is a multinational which buys and veterinarian clinics all over the world, and they are now since last year the largest in the world of its kind. As I am responsible for the IT development in the Netherlands and also Belgium and Germany, etc. When I started at Evidentia in 2019, I encountered a lot of, because it was a kind of startup, a lot of issues, a lot of things. I thought, okay, we have to do that differently, and also try to find a solution to do this swiftly. And that's where I encountered with the low-code, no-code platform with WEM, and we created some amazing things, but I will, of course, tell that sometime later. So, then I'm still enjoying it a lot. So we are now a few years on the way, and we make amazing things. So I can tell you later about it.
Thank you, Tom. So for those who do not know David Moisen already, perhaps you can introduce yourself.
Sure, of course, Ignacio. Well, thanks, Ignacio. Hi, everyone. My name is David Moisen. I'm sales director for WEM in the region of Latin America. Also involved with building a team in the UK at the moment. Started with WEM No Code almost a year and a half ago, making our first steps into Latin America, building up a rich ecosystem around the tool, doing training courses, finding partners, finding clients, everything. In fact, our first few steps were with universities. You know, we started doing some training courses with universities in Panama, which is where I'm at the moment. People in the last year of their systems engineering degree, showing them, you know, the options of low code, no code. And in fact, we have about half a dozen of them that took these courses just over a year ago, now working with us. So, you know, low code, no code is also good for fast job development, not just for rapid application development. And I see that we have Sean just joined us as well, Ignacio. So I think I can hand it over to you again, and then Sean, is probably your turn to introduce yourself.
Welcome, Sean Van Veen, I suppose. I don't know how to pronounce your language. Welcome. Just in time for your self-introducing to the audience, please. Who you are, what do you do, and then we will discuss your experiences and views about low code and no code.
We cannot hear you. We cannot hear you, Sean. Okay, 1 minute. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
No, still mute.
If we want, maybe Marco, as our representative, you can have a quick intro.
Yes, introduce yourself, please, Marco.
Okay, my name is Marco Carvajal. I'm a computer engineer. I've been working in this arena almost 30 plus years, and I started a company last year that is called Sandor, focused in low-code, no-code platforms. Why is that? Because the trends in software development and the need of this kind of emerging technologies that right now are changing the landscape of software development as a new alternative for developing very in a very quick way, applications, mission critical applications with an easy, with easy platforms, with easy frameworks. And I don't want, in my case, to call these as tools. I call them platforms, and because I see that is this kind of platforms are very robust, and I will address that if Ignacio allowed me that later. And I joined as a partner with WEM last year, and from this year we started to sell the platform to in Costa Rica and the Central American Caribbeans, and we are trying to position the use low-code, no-code platform. This is not for selling you at all WEM, but we decided to use to share these 3 seminars, webinars, excuse me, with you for the people in Costa Rica and all of the people that is watching us and listening us, to know more about the no-code, low-code field, almost a little bit known in this region. So it's basically the reason why we are doing this, and why also Sandor identified an opportunity of positioning in giving services around no-code, low-code platforms.
Thank you very much, Marco. Sean, are you already?
Testing. Testing. Testing.
Go.
Yes.
Wonderful. Welcome.
Okay.
Sorry, my laptop connects to everything but my laptop. Buenos días todos.
Buenos días.
You speak Spanish. Mi esposa is de Mexico, so that's why I speak a little bit of Spanish as well. But I'm Sean van Veen, so we know how to pronounce it now, but we can test it later. I am working within the Dutch government, and since 2019, I am working with the local platform of WEM. Basically, because I was in my position in that time as manager operations, I was looking for a more flexible application production system to support all the staffing and get rid of the well-known Access, Excel, and other, not easy to reproduce documents and data. So we started in that time. And by now we have more or less around 80 applications working within the Dutch government on various positions within the government and departments. So we're doing a lot, and I'm here to answer any questions which you have on how the WEM platform is produced. I can tell you insight of why we chose for WEM as such. And the basic one for that is that the WEM platform is easy to use for mid-level staffing, because citizen development is a very much mature way of creating applications from the business and not from IT. And I'm living in Holland, and sometimes I visit Mexico, and my friends are living in Costa Rica at this really moment, so I have connections there.
Our eldest daughter lives in Amersfoort. In the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much for introducing yourselves. Alvaro Cordero is with us. He's the head of the School of Software Engineering, and they are the sponsors of this series of webinars. And we've been contributing with, collaborating with Marco for many years, myself, and we do hope that he will be joining the faculty soon as an adjunct faculty professional. So I'm I would like to get to know, we have three different perspectives today with us. Tom, who is with Evidensia. I don't know, how do you pronounce your...
Evidensia, it's correct.
Okay. Sarah, who is in a young company, perhaps something like a startup, doing business in mental health and mindful, and Sean, who is in the government enterprise information systems, as I understand. So I think we have a very interesting multi-perspective activity today. But I am a programmer at heart, and I started 45 years ago, not punching cards, but writing Fortran programs. So what do you think, from each of your perspectives, is the most valuable thing you get from the low code, no code experience of devising new systems, extending what is already there, integrating with what is already there, or with your customers or partners? What do you think is the most value you get from this possibility of low code, no code, where most of the applications in this world are created in a code full impetus for many decades? So what is the most value? What do you value the most in your experiences?
And you ask it to the three of us, or?
The three of you, yes. You have different perspectives, and you have different time frames for using the web platform or in other platforms, perhaps, and you might contrast with your previous experiences and what were the drivers for deciding to go into it. And then we will go into more discussions, and how do you see it from the project management perspective, software engineering, good practices, what's good, what's not, what's new.
Yeah. Well, I can call you Ignacio, right? That's I can call you like that, or yeah.
I am Nacho.
Okay, I would let me start, because I think that, well, I started programming in binary codes, in hexadecimal coding that's in that time, and we are still needed. That way of thinking of creating applications is still necessary, but we are getting scarce. So the problem is that we have the capacity of people who really know how to build application, and we still need them. And even in the low code, there's someone that's building the low code based on the fact that they know high code. So it's not that we lose them, but what is the main advantage is that you can create applications from operations level. So it's not a translation, because in the traditional way, a person will say, okay, I would like to have an application that does this, that, and that. And with those 5 descriptions, you are starting to build an application. And then you come back and then we talk about it. Well, it's not completely what I want. And at the end of the day, after a certain amount of time, you deliver the application and they say, time has a little bit changed. So the application needs to do a bit more like this. So the time framing for low-code development is way shorter, and in collaboration with the business. And that is, for me, the most valuable asset of making applications with low-code.
Okay. So the time frame, and also the collaboration and mutual understanding on what's good for the business, or...
Yeah, and from project management perspective, the time frame of delivering is it could be the same, because most of the people don't really grasp all the processes that are necessary to create the application. But the acceptance of the application is way bigger because they produce it themselves. So there's no discussion afterwards like, nice application, you made it, but yeah, we can't use it because it's not good enough. Now they are proud and saying, I did it. We made our own working application. So I measure my value within the Dutch government by the width of the smile of the people that work in the business.
Good.
And I can tell you that's a lot. But let me hear the other perspectives.
Yes, just one thing is that you're collaborating, so you co-design with the people in the business,
Yeah.
and they gain some sort of ownership of the system by participating and getting their les mains à la pâte, their hands dirty in the.
They have to get their hands dirty, and my basic strategy is that 2 days a week I claim resources from the business that work together with me. So we're sitting in the same room the same day and working to create applications. So there's no escape, like not like, I told you what to do and I see you next week. No, you sit there with me, we create the application. So it's theirs.
Good. Thank you very much, Sean. Perhaps Sarah can tell us her perspective.
Yes, of course. I mean, from my point of view, I would second the previous comments. The scalability, how quickly things can be adapted to change, because we're very much working on a model that can change overnight depending on the end user's requests and needs. At the moment, we're working in the education sector, so we're working with schools. So each customer, each end user can be different depending on the individual needs of the child. So for us, no code, low code can be easily adapted and changed within minutes, depending on how complex the request is. But it is really an agile project, and our partners that we were working with that actually built the platform for us on no code, low code. It was such a short project compared to other quotes that we had using the traditional model. It was sort of 6 weeks rather than 3 to 6 months. So it's quicker for us, and the whole thing's just seemed a lot more versatile, where we could go out and speak to customers and say, we can do this for you, but we can also make bespoke changes based on your needs, and we can give this to you within weeks, rather than this is going to be coming back to you within months. So for me, that's one of the best things about it. It's easily adapted and extremely scalable, and we can make these changes extremely quick, which looks great for our end users, which are very demanding. If we're working with either the education, government, or the NHS, they expect things to be done, and we can give them better service level agreements, which we call SLAs. We can give them better SLAs to put us above our competition. So it's very, very, very good. Very, for me personally, as a company, and I'm one of the directors, I know my partners feel the same. We've actually found it faultless, and extremely impressed with the whole delivery, and the whole project management has been seamless.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Just a pause. I will translate some words from Sarah. But I lived in England, in the UK for 4 years.
Yes,
So
poco español,
okay.
Habla inglés.
Muy bien. Bespoke es hecho a la medida, tailor-made. And NHS es el servicio de salud. Es como la caja costarricense de seguro en Costa Rica. Es la organización de salud más grande del mundo. The NHS is the largest health organization in the world. Thank you very much, Sarah.
Thank you. And thank you for apologies if there's any words.
No.
I will do my best to not use abbreviations, but yes, thank you.
It's good. I lived so here people speak more American North American English rather than British English.
Oh, we just speak the Queen's English, so it's the oldest form, and we're very proud. Especially it's the Jubilee weekend as well, so we are very proud.
Oh yes, yes, yes. So perhaps Tom. And you?
Yeah, not to repeat the other two, Sean and Sarah. I think in my case, I'm not a programmer from heart, but I think in process automation and in possibilities and interoperability, which means that I saw from the start the possibilities and also the power which the web platform could bring in our company in Evidentia, especially also not only by building and creating an ecosystem which we can change our business processes and translate that to IT functionality. But what I found very powerful, also created some advanced solutions, is the interfacing, which is very on a very high level within WEM. So I created with WEM the first interface with the Microsoft API, which also brought a lot of because we used Microsoft Azure in our case, then we could combine the Azure environment with WEM, and this also created a very powerful business model. And also with our HR system, which is it's not known in the world, but it's called AFAS, and this HR system also which connected to WEM. And then we connected more applications to WEM, so that WEM would become kind of middleware. And then you could see we also created a robot platform to unlock legacy applications. We had practice management systems in clinics, which is a kind of legacy application with not a mature API. So all these kinds of stuff we could build and connect to with WEM, which made major advances, especially also with the speed of implementation and the maturity which we could use functionality within a very fast amount of time. So this was for us very helpful. And also what I think is most important is to empower the user, the end user, like Sean was telling, and I think Sarah also. If you see how happy people are when they see that some system like WEM is really helping them to do their daily jobs and to give them empowerment, which they didn't have before because they had to use an Excel sheet and static data, and now we can use real-time data and real-time instant reporting. So this is very nice. And also the cost there, of course, because the cost is also a thing. Because of the return on investment is that much faster than your traditional IT development. Yeah, it's almost a no-brainer. So I would all who's in this meeting welcome to the new I think the new future of application use and development. And you're a little bit in the front running of this, like I am also. But you will see this will conquer the world in a very short time. That's my opinion. So it's a little bit my introduction. Yeah.
Thank you, Tom. Yes, there is in Costa Rica there is a higher demand of computing professionals in general and software developers in particular than the supply coming out from universities. So We see Universidad Zenfotec is a university, and it also works into continuing education and transfer programs from people from other walks of life into computing. So if people can understand and join and become part of the creators of their own solutions, that's a very high value proposal, I think. I don't know whether, Álvaro, do you have any questions? I have a few.
Yes, I'd just like to ask how resistant is the developer? Okay, in especially in groups that are used to do almost all in the area of programming, of computing programming. So there are a lot of programmers that are resistant to new technologies and new ways for the industry to develop the solutions. So I just want to know how resistant they are and how to overcome that problem if we were able to begin to work with low code, no code.
Well, I can give you an answer from the Dutch government, and since I'm already applying like 80 applications, the problem is not the resistance, because the resistance is a kind of fear. That's number one. Number two is that the resistance is more based on the fact that they're not known with this new type of development. So the first thing they say, it's going to be shadow IT. We can't mix it. It's not integrated in the system. But if you tell them, like, yeah, but basically you're correct. We need to address those ideas. But at this current moment, it's Access, Excel, email, phone, handwritten. So all those shadow IT or non-IT is already existing in things that the most architects say, oh, we don't want to look at it. So yes, you need to address it. So it really will be a huge development if you start to use low code in your organization, because then you create the visibility of all the applications type that you have. And by doing it, not by telling it, that's the second part, by doing it, show them what it is. We can build an application, a basic application on the needs within a night. I always start with 4 hours. I give you 4 hours for free and I will make your first application. And then we are not talking about when, we are talking about functionalities. So there, I'm not coming in with a presentation from PowerPoint. Is this what we do? No, I make the application. And that is the way to convince them. And still, you need to address all standard procedures in your enterprise architecture. Safety, structure, microservices, API connection, all those kind of things you still need to do. So involve them, and there will be no resistance anymore. That's my perspective, what I see now in the past 2 years within the Dutch government.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I had a question. You just mentioned architecture. What are you, the three of you, do you have strategy or architecture in which you turn that architectural vision into those applications that will inhabit the application, the architecture, sorry? How do you do, or are you discovering it as you go? If it's a younger business, how has been your experience in that?
Yeah, I don't know if Tom or Sarah wants to answer first, but I can give you an idea of what we did.
Yeah, I mean, I can quickly. I mean, for us, it was all discovery. Whether we were going to have a native application or a website portal. But to start with in our development, we've gone for just pure desktop-based application. From that, we're then going to sort of build up into sort of a native iOS and Android application. But for us, it was really about discovery and sort of finding how far we needed to go. Because obviously, the more you do, the more costs come into play. And being a very sort of new business in this sector, we wanted to sort of gently dip our toe without taking too much risk. So I think now that we have taken the first step and seen how easy it is, I think then we will work with our partners with WEM to build a native application as well. And also, we're extremely impressed about the reporting tools that, the equivalent to Microsoft Power BI, that we can, all the data that we can extract using all the plugins that can be, used with WEM as well. So that's something that we're learning. And I think, David the other day shared with us all of the different plugins and different things that we can do and how much capability there is on the basic platform. And it's, extremely impressive.
Wonderful. And perhaps Tom?
Yes. I think I would like to turn it around. Normally, especially in enterprise environments, they are looking for standardized solutions because they don't want to take any risk. And my first thing was to convince them WEM is a standardized solution, which is totally customizable. Because normally, they think, okay, we would like to have something, but it's always a little bit water in the wine because you cannot have the total functionality you would like to because it's the standard application won't allow that. So in this, I think in this new way of thinking with WEM, there has to be also a shift in the perspective of the people who are making these decisions. And especially normally it's in the higher, of course, the higher echelons, and I think that also still has to be some work being done. But it's now dripping in that this will be a new way, and it's also changing the way how we think about architecture, because then we can totally focus on what would we like to achieve business-wise. Not what we are doing now, but what we want to go after now, and that's if we can and capture that in our IT environment, we can push much further to the future, which wouldn't be possible with the standardized applications we had in the past. So that's a little bit my vision on it.
Is it the experience? Thank you, Tom. The experience of any of you, including David and Marco, that once people in the business or your customers or clients or partners get into this faster results-driven systems building production, that they become more inventive about new things to do in the business, like
I think
modifying processes, creating new services, shortening the supply chains, distribution chains, and things like that, integrating more areas which were separate within the business or geographically distributed businesses. Is that something that it's already happening in your experiences?
I think I'll give a quick answer to this, and I see Sean nodding very much because I know he has a massive experience with that. How things have really blown up within the Dutch government, from starting with some very specific projects to let's do everything this way now. It's something that, look, I come much more from a commercial side, right? So I am talking to a lot of different companies. Some of them that are very open and some of them are very closed. And this has to do with what you mentioned earlier as well, Ignacio, like the pushback from traditional IT against the new way. And they don't need us anymore, they're going to replace us, and so on and so forth. Then if you talk to the business, like Sean said, there's all of a sudden this idea that we can do a lot more, but even there you have this resistance, and it goes with what you're asking for, is that people don't think that their problems have necessarily got an IT solution, or if there is an IT solution for them, it is going to take way too much time, way too much money, and way too much effort and pain to do this. And we see this even in the short space of our demo sessions with our clients, who I've had many of with Marco. We start talking to somebody from big company. There are people from the business, from the IT department. Everybody's present. Everyone has their reasons, as always in sales, not to believe a word that you're saying. But then also, like Sean mentioned, we start showing them. And so initially they think we don't have any issues. We don't have any problems, or I don't have any problems that you can solve. That's usually the attitude. And I think that's very much what you see internally within a company when something like a no-code tool gets introduced, usually, in one part of the business before it starts permeating everything else. And we see that even in the space of like an hour or 2 hours of demo, where we say, all right, give me a challenge, set me a challenge, let me build something for you. Anything, you just throw me an idea. You want a CRM, you want an ERP, you want a system that does ticketing for the most bizarre thing that you've never heard of, and we start building. And all of a sudden, within the space of even like an hour or two, you see that happening. What you just mentioned is that people start seeing, actually, I do have a lot more problems than I was willing to admit at the beginning. I think I have more things that can be solved with this, and all these things that I thought would not be possible because of the usual constraints, time, long lines of communication with IT, difficulty of translating your situation in real life to something that is understandable from the IT perspective of what a solution could be, the architecture, the features, the connections, the integrations, and so on and so forth. It becomes much more tangible. It's much easier to understand, and you see that, and I will hand it over there to Sean. You see that people start seeing all kinds of issues of where they can improve, where they can automate, where they can create completely new things using no code, because the threshold is so much lower and it is so much more accessible for non-IT profiles. And we see, just as a last point, we see that there are clients of ours that initially they want to build something for themselves. So they're traditional IT companies, traditional non-IT companies. They build something that they know is a big issue, and eventually they say, hey, we can sell this. We can sell this in a SaaS solution, make it available to a lot more people who have the same issues, which we see in the education sector as well. For research that you have to do, there are standard programs and your SPSSs and all this sort of stuff, but every research is very specific. We have people in the jungle here in Panama doing things that obviously they're not doing in the desert in the US. But if you have a tool that is very quick to adapt, then all of a sudden, the creativity gets stimulated. So I don't know if Sean or Marco has raised his hand as well.
Marco has a question. So
No, I want to say something about this topic and maybe some others. Oh. What we have seen is that almost in some companies, in some companies, there is an issue in adopting these kind of frameworks because they already have expert software developments, and they say, no, I'm fine. I don't need any more technologies or change the way I work. So So I will keep my infrastructure and my resources the same as usual. That is one thing that happens. Also, when we approach some customers, they are kind of skeptic, and they decide to, for example, want us to give information about the competitors and to evaluate some other platforms. That is okay, because if you are searching and selecting and evaluating a product platform, it's okay for you to develop to engage or to undertake an evaluation process, but sometimes it's not for really undertake the process, but it's for not letting you telling you directly, I'm not interested. And in some other cases, there is in the big ones, especially in the big ones, and solutions architect or an architecture, IT architecture department, in which they evaluate all the technologies that could be used in the companies and the business and even the IT, the software development area and the like. They cannot even decide for the technologies. They can be involved by as part of the process that is driven by the solution architects. That is something that also has happened to us. Also, we've seen that, for example, well, in Costa Rica, there is a lack of interest in allowing people, with the exception of one company that we have visited, we have talked to. Most of the companies want these platforms for giving them to the expert IT developers, not for the citizen developers. I guess that is part of the resistance that Alvaro addressed before, and in that sense, there is a need of evangelize companies, and tell them that it's not a competition between the citizen developers and the IT experts. The projects must be undertaken by both the citizen developers and the IT experts. Some of them must be developed almost completely with the IT developers that are experts, and some of them will be highly developed by the business with some kind of help from the IT experts, and with the and in order to avoid the shadow audit, the governance of the IT have to change in order to let the users develop some applications by their own, and for the fact that they cannot be out of the radar. If it is okay, the word of the IT. All the applications, either done by the IT or by the user, must be in the catalog of IT systems that are part of the company. And I want to also, well, if you, Ignacio, let me say something about the first questions that you mostly addressed about the issue, the things, or
Go ahead.
that are good in this kind of platforms. I see are not for developing platforms. And if you, for example, look for a platform like WEM, WEM is a well thought platform and is, well, strictly something that is excellent, and some others too. And if you use a platform like this, you will constantly having updates. And in that sense, you will not be obsolete very quickly. And if you, for example, are in the business, in whatever business, and you develop your framework, that is not always the case. You start programming as you can. But if let's say that you develop a framework, you don't even have time in the future for enhancing the product, because the company will ask you for developing systems quickly. So they will start using or continue using what they had already, and develop and deploy all the applications with an let's say an framework that is not currently up to date in features or in technologies, and very fast you all of a sudden you have a framework that is has been used in more than 80 applications, 100 applications, and then you have an obsolete platform in everything. But with WEM or whatever other product, you will have constant upgrades, constant enhancements, and that will force you to keep up to date with all those enhancements, and will allow you to stay always in business, avoiding obsolescence. That is something that I wanted to say about the things that are important in having a kind of these solutions.
You mentioned some very important things, like the possibility of helping build and make the architecture a reality, and automation, possibility of bespoke or tailor-made adaptations, integration, middleware, that kind of thing, empowering the user. How about analytics? Having data that can be analyzed, in time frames, classifications, metrics, performance, whatever. How do you put that? Do you put that as part of the requirements when you develop new applications or you adapt applications? Is there any particular help from the platform in doing that kind of work? Not the operational application, but I mean getting that kind of data into analysis, get insights, trends.
Yes, I am not the one for respond this question, but I think the customers that we have addressed.
Yes.
No, I'm not addressing you. I'm addressing everybody.
They are not wanting us to demo that kind of thing.
Allow me, Marco, if you
yes.
will, because I know a little bit about the cases with well, not all of them, but I know something about the cases with all three, and I think all three have different ways of answering this question. I know that there's a lot of data in what Sarah is doing with Mindsville. They do a lot of dashboarding, so I'm sure she can come in from that side. I know Sean as well. They are doing a lot of things with a lot of data, a lot of dashboarding, a lot of BI that they're putting on top. They even have their own statistics that they have built within a module to show sort of what they are building and have statistics about what they are doing. And I know that Tom has a bunch of things on this as well. So Who wants to take it first? Any volunteers?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I can talk from our point of view. Our platform comes in sort of two parts. It's the end user will log in and do what they need to do with regards to their mental health. And on the back end, through no code, low code, we've got a portal for the actual education sector or the health service to log into to see the data based upon what the end users are doing. This is obviously anonymized and falls, within the criteria of, protecting people. But there are two parts. So for us, I think the most important part of this is actually the data that we extract out of the platform to enable us then to prove that what we're doing is actually worthwhile. So we can see data before they start using the Mindsful platform, and then we can see the data whilst they're using it and after they're using it. And it's really important for us to be able to sit down and show our customers how much of a difference that we've made to people's mental health. So having a portal that they can log into and they can see graphs and charts, and they can then extract this and put it into their own tools if they wish to as well, by exporting the data. That's extremely important. And it's something that's extremely versatile and easy to do on the platform.
Do you perform the analytics within the platform, or do you have to take your data elsewhere?
Within.
Thank you. Maybe Tom or Sean can add.
Yeah, what we do is, if I understand your question correctly, yes, how you can identify data in timelines. One of the major features in the WAM platform is that every data has a timestamp of creation and last mutation. It doesn't say what has been done, but that's already there. So while modeling an application, you build in any time setting you want to know. So if you want to have record in a logbook what it has been changed to a certain amount of data by whom, you can create that by just modeling a very simple routine that every change is being recorded. Secondary is that by using the data, you can choose a date and you can ask the system to show all true elements in that particular date. So you can shift back and forth in time. But the most used is changing the data, who does it in a logbook, and all those kind of things. So basically that is already in the system and it helps providing that. So for us, it's clear that the data in itself has enough capabilities to show what is the changes in time. Secondary is that because the system is so flexible, it's very easy to use the system to get data in line and to get it really. Basically, you can do data crunching at a very low level. So you can see the quality of the data very easily, and you can show the business what has been done by just preparing some small routines and saying, like, okay, if this is the case, what is left over? For example, in my last application that I built myself was on a program that's called Asbestos that we need to get rid of in all the buildings in the Dutch government. 34,000 objects are relevant to that scope of that project. And they need to know which building, when findings has been recorded, when it has been get rid of, who has done it, which person. So all the data is now in the system. But we also find some wrong data. They say, yeah, okay, the system says it has asbestos, but we don't have any documentation. So it is, in that way, you can use the system, and you can also use very easily adaptive tools like Power BI to use the data as well.
So maybe I can tell you a little bit about the future of Evidentia, in that we are investigating the use of AI especially for our veterinarians and in our imaging. And we are looking into with WEM because they have some clients on the platform which also built an image diagnostic system, and we are looking into using that also in the future for our clinics, and that we can, and WEM is that powerful that we could have real time because they have also implemented now already AI nodes within WEM, so we can use the AI functionality to have real-time image recognition of X-rays imaging and do kind of pre-diagnostic for our veterinarians. So that would be really, really powerful, and it's one thing we would try to do for the upcoming year probably. So it's a little bit future. It's not being developed yet, but it's something we can and we will do in the future. And I think also AI could be a real powerful tool, and especially because it's default within WEM to do the data crunching and data mining and the analysis which we have now, and the trends, etc. And especially for a large company as Evidentia, and we have a lot of data which we can then make useful, much more useful than we can do it at the moment. So
I think I just want to add a couple of things here, and maybe tie in with one of the questions that I saw in the chat. Is we have some other clients, company based in Israel doing a lot of business in the US. They're in medical imaging, and they're already doing some of the stuff that Tom is talking about. I think you may have heard of the project from the people at HQ. They are doing image recognition on scans already, like X-rays, brain scans, etc., etc. Looking for tumors and so on and so forth. And while different no-code platforms have different accesses or different built-in capabilities of things like AI, of things like business intelligence and so on added, and this is where it ties in with the question that I think came from Kanisha. Is low-code, no-code enough to reach your objective? Depends on the case. Depends on what you want to do. So, for example, the stuff that Tom is talking about, or this other client is doing, the AI part is being done outside of WEM in this case. So, what is happening is that there is integration between a WEM-built application and an external AI service. Now, there are plenty of AI platforms. There is even some open source. Microsoft have, I think, one called Lobe that you can use fairly cheaply or for free for a lot of things. We are working with a company in Colombia and Uruguay who actually have a no-code AI. They put us to the test, like, okay, how quickly can we integrate with you guys? And within sort of half an hour, we had connected to them, and we were analyzing brain tumors from an application that didn't exist half an hour before. So yeah, that ties in with what you were asking, Kanisha, is can you build a full application with low-code, no-code? Yes, you can. Depends what you are building, depends which tool you are building. Some no-code platforms are much more focused on building front ends really quickly and not doing a lot of data number crunching. Some application platforms like WEM are much more focused on enterprise grade. We like to do heavy lifting with our tools, which is some of the use cases that are happening in the Dutch government are, and I won't mention them, Sean, so I won't steal your thunder. But some of those cases are very heavy lifting. And for example, now recently with Volvo in China, they are building an application that is collecting and manipulating and spitting out and doing all kinds of things with data that is coming from driverless cars. So millions of data points streaming in, all getting absorbed or received by an application that is mostly built with web. Not all of it is built with web. I think around 90% it's built by a big global partner of us called DXC Technology. And so that's very complex information that is being received. And of course, they are doing things like BI elements and so on, showing how, in a graphical way, what is happening and so on and so forth. And most of that is done through the standard widgets that we have available in WEM. But a lot of that is done also by custom-made widgets by the partner and by the client, because widgets are these little bits and pieces of functionality that you can drop in anywhere that you want, right? And there is also in a lot of no-codes and in WEM as well, there's an editor, and I will of course say that we do it better than anybody else, but you can forget about that if you don't want to believe me. But you can build your own widgets, you can build your own ways of visualizing, and again, that ties in what we were talking about earlier, resistance from IT, is it fully IT, and so on. There are ways of incorporating and integrating, and that's very important in the cases that you will see within Evidentia. I posted the link to the core first case of WEM in Evidentia. There's a lot of integrations going on there. So you can have a look at a video, and Tom explains it together with one of our partners. I know with Sean that there's a lot of integrating going on as well. So can you do everything with no code? Yes, you can. But it depends on your business case. It depends on your existing architecture. It depends on how quickly it needs to be done, how complicated things are that you're trying to do. And yes, can you integrate lots of BI and so on? You can. And if you want to leave it in Tableau or Power BI or wherever it is that you already know how to do it, then you can use whatever you build in no code as your source of data to feed your dashboards in a more dynamic way. So there are a million ways of solving these issues. Let's put it that way.
Just to make it a bit energetic, David, I would like to contradict you a little bit.
Go for it.
In this. Not that you are not telling the truth, because yes, basically you can do everything. But no one is going to make an accounting system with WEM, because we have SAP, Oracle, or any other financial system. So you really have to see, what do I need? Which standard applications are applicable? And I think Tom mentioned it earlier. The major feature of these low-code applications is that it becomes a kind of middleware, because you can interact it with the standard applications that do accounting very well. And you can use that information in your WEM application, for example. So for my point of view, I would say you should not try to look for the way that you build everything in WEM.
True.
Create a checklist saying, okay, is there a standard application that does this line of work perfectly? Yes. Okay, then don't build it in WEM. Does it co-align with our enterprise architecture? If you're working your basic structure on Oracle or SAP, stick with that, but integrate with the systems. That is the way to think on how to use low-code in this manner that it really serves your organization. So that's why I a little bit want to...
No, that's fine.
Yeah,
I think I will take my right to response as well. I think, okay, there's a big difference between can you do everything and should you do everything, and that's very good that you pointed that out, Sean, because and we don't suggest that with our clients either, right? We integrate all the time with other systems, because otherwise, if you start reinventing the wheel over and over and over again, then no matter how quick the tool is that you are using to reinvent the wheel, you're still going to be losing time that is too valuable for your business to be wasting on development. Yeah. What we do see is, and that's very key, what you mentioned, right? Is there an existing solution that does this perfectly for us? There are a lot of cases where there is an existing tool, but you're paying, and this is a lot with, especially with SaaS applications or huge applications, clusters like your SAPs and so on, where cost could become a factor. Not just functionality, but cost becomes a factor. Where you say, okay, this thing, like Salesforce does anything a CRM could ever want to do, pretty much, you know, including BI on top of what you are doing, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not going to be the one, and I don't think any of our clients or anybody here would be there to say, we can do it better than Salesforce. No. Maybe we can do it as good as Salesforce, depending on whoever is building it, but it's not the point. But the point that I'm getting at is that for a lot of companies, and this is more sometimes more in the sector of like your startups, smaller companies, et cetera, or companies that do very specific things, or companies that integrate with platforms that aren't as world-renowned, which comes a lot more in, I think that's something we see a lot more here in LATAM, where people don't necessarily need to integrate with what everybody in Europe and the US is integrating with. So you get to a point where you say, all right, there is something that exists, it does everything perfectly, but I'm gonna have to pay for 100% of functionality, and all I'm gonna be using is about 30% of it. And there you have a different kind of use case for flexible solutions that you may need, rather than, you know, pay 100%, use 30, okay, pay 100% and use 100%. And then it may be interesting that without having to retool or train, I've had plenty, like I said, I'm in sales, I've had plenty of training on a million different CRMs, and the more complex the CRM, the more the training is about, don't touch this, don't touch that. You know, these are the 3 buttons out of the 10 that you're allowed to use. And I think we get, again, closer to the business cases that Sean has a lot, is that you have the business build exactly what they want and what they need, and you reduce training times, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I think there's a trade-off, and from a business side, you always have to see what makes sense. And no-code is just another tool or platform that you have available, or philosophy that you have available to solve your issues. But your issues are always going to be driven by the same things, you know, cost, timing, and how well does this do what I need it to do.
We have Gino. Thank you very much, David, Sean.
We have a lot of questions.
We have Gino, who raised his hand a few minutes ago.
Yeah. So I just wanted to highlight that this is like, if you think about it, and let's step back for a minute. If we think of this from a philosophical perspective, we can think these like a simplification, right? We are trying to simplify things. And if you think of the history and the trend of programmatics and computer science, what you're doing, it's every iteration, it's trying to simplify itself even more, right? The first time that we saw computers the way analog computers, right? You have like these machines that were doing physical stuff, and then that evolved into ones and zeros, and that evolved then into letters, and then and then that evolved into classes and so on, right? So it's trying to simplify every time. And one thing that it's particularly resembling to me is that this kind of programming looks a lot like what another market has been doing for a while, which is games development, right? In games development, you have like these, they call them blueprints, right? And they connect these blueprints, their logic. It's being like developed using these nodes that they connect, and they do it visually, and they are almost no coding, right? So that's a trend that we see in our in our life. We have been seeing it from a lot of perspectives. And if we think about it, nowadays almost no one has an authentication authorization in implementation in their code. Most people use Google, Apple, identification, Facebook identification, right? So you have assigned that responsibility to that authentication company. Now you don't integrate that into your application, right? So what I can feel of this, it's something similar, right? You have to identify where this fits the best, right? And as David was mentioning, right, you can build a whole application, a whole environment, right? But there are tools that could do it better, right? I will be a bit naive if I think I can create a best login system or authentication system than Facebook or Google, right? But maybe I can leverage that into my application. So these no code, low code, it's a way to take advantage of the business logic, right, and create something as fast as possible, but you have to be smart as well. So, and as I was saying on the comments, just like, sorry, just like these paper that was written, the no code, sorry, the no silver bullet. Yeah, thank you. There's no single application or no single technology or no single platform that is going to solve every single problem every time, right? So it's just being smart. And this actually no code, low code, it's something that it's a tendency. It's where things seems to be going nowadays. So yeah, I just wanted to add that in top of all this information that you have provided to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Gino.
You're welcome.
So we've been already an hour, a little bit over an hour. So perhaps we can converge into some final remarks on each of you. Your very valuable experiences and insights already. And there is a question here that Federico Humberto Barquero Hidalgo wrote. We'll have those in charge of IT expand our knowledge profile to prepare ourselves and have more knowledge of programming than of communications or equipment. What do you recommend for the future IT manager? And Sean has already started to answer that. Perhaps some other people here are more like software engineers or business analysts or quality assurance or testers. Maybe some of your perspectives can enrich our own. Go ahead, please.
You asked to others now, right? Or
Sean or
Sarah, or other. There are so many people, and I thought you said, well, maybe there are others. For me, basically, the IT manager from now really needs to trust the staffing and empowering them with the proper tools, the proper knowledge to create application or to simplify the work. And it's the task of the IT manager to constantly look forward. Most of the people in Holland still look backwards. We work with Oracle, we work with SAP, and that is doing good. But we ignore the fact that there is new capabilities. We ignore the fact that there is a lot of shadow IT going on and problems within the working area. So I really think that needs to change in the IT manager, at least in Holland. I don't know how it is in Costa Rica, but I think that is a change of mind. We need to support the staff in enabling them to work as easy as possible and to make life enjoyable in all perspectives. And of course, for all the other perspectives that you said, we need to do the testing. Yes, of course, we still need to do tests. We still need to create safety measures. We need to create privacy in the application. So for me, that is the standard ruling that we need to do. So we don't skip any of the staffing that we need in any application building. The only thing is we don't do it in 6 months' time we do it mostly in 6 weeks' time. So it demands something from us. And for those who want, when we finish off, I have a nice graphical view. It's a little bit in Dutch, but I can work you around about creating a Ferrari, which it makes me always talk with the businesses. This is what you need to do in 6 weeks. So if anyone is willing, I am happy to show it at the end of this session.
Wonderful, Sean. Thank you very much. So Marco raised his hand.
You're on mute. You're on mute. Marco.
You're mute, Marco.
Pardon. What I wanted to say is that that it is very important for every IT manager and for every IT professional, and even for non-IT experts, to look around and see trends, and that all people become IT vigilant, that we do not close our eyes and see what is coming, and that we open to evaluate and to dedicate some time to research about emerging trends that are becoming more mature and that are not threatening, but kind of shaping and changing the way things are done in businesses. And that is important because there are curves that shown us, for example, how different technologies are becoming more mature as the time goes by. And for example, every 10 years at the most, a new, or 10 years, a new technology innovation comes up in several kind of technologies, and we need to embrace some of them, and maybe many of them. For example, in the case of low code, according to statistics, in the year 2004, 75% of the software that is done by thirds will be done by using low code, no code platforms. And if, for example, for companies, for big companies, 2 to 4 no code, low code platforms are going to be used, because there are several kinds of no code, low code platforms. IoTs, for big data, for the software development, for machine learning, RPA. So if you take those into account, you'll see that the business will be better managed by a mix of those technologies, in addition to the traditional way of doing things. As we said before, this is not for avoiding the other technologies, and that is better understood because of with this at the as the on the base or basement or foundation of every no-code, low-code platform, there are all the known technologies that are traditional technologies, the C#, C++, or whatever, the other technologies. So there is a mix of technologies that almost will be going and advance simultaneously, and will give better functionalities to use both, and do the best in accordance with which is best to use in a specific solution. That is what I can.
Thank you.
give.
I feel I would like to add one more thing that needs to be addressed. Most companies look at their own processes, and what is recommendable for most of the companies is to look outside of their boundaries, because every company has its place in the complete chain. And two samples for that in Holland is one, the digital invoicing. And the traditional way is you submit a paper invoice. The invoice is being manually encrypted into the system, is being checked and evaluated. Normally, we will pay the invoices in 60 days. So that is our chain. Nowadays, we do that digitally. So we get it digitally. It's being processed directly. It can be paid within 5 days. So the whole chain of all the businesses need to be addressed. The same occurs with another application that I made with WAM, is that companies can request a subsidy for the Dutch government, and the subsidy needs to be processed. So what we say is, this is the format that you need to submit your request. You need to submit this additional data, and it's sent by email or by post. Someone is checking all the data and writing back, sorry, I missed something, or it's not correct. And when I show them making an application in literally, I think 6 hours, I said, okay, the company goes online, fills in the form online. The system checks, do you add the relevant documentation? And it comes directly into your system. And the most valuable answer was, if this is possible, why we don't do that for the other 80 subsidies that we have? And so the integration goes beyond your own organization.
Mm-hmm.
Your capacity building goes beyond your organization. You need to have traineeships. You need to have own staffing. You need to have external staffing, because they bring something new with new technology from other businesses. So staffing is not only related to your own company. And I think that are two strategies that really can help you in implementing it.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Sean. I don't know whether Sarah or Tom can perhaps contribute to the closing remarks.
I think Sean has said it perfectly, so I totally agree with him. And I have to also sign off in a few minutes, so because we're a little bit out of time for me. So.
Okay, thank you. Sarah?
Thank you, Tom.
But you also are implementing this at Tom, because I know that Evidentia gets all the licenses automatically now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
so if there's a new staff member, automatically from all other platforms, there will be licenses requested and uphanded to the staff. So this is a perfect sample of how you create the thought of implementing with other companies.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where I started, and I also would like to incorporate the customer or the end user and also the supplier in our infrastructure. So that's also what Sean was telling, and it gives much more powerful solutions than only to try to solve your own business solution. If you are also looking out of the business than only in the business. So absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you. Sarah?
No, I mean, I don't have anything else to add. I think what both the chaps have said, I agree with, to be honest with you. And I'm the same. I'm a little bit pressed for time now. Apologies.
Okay,
I have Marks and Spencer's knocking at my door very soon, so I will ready for the Jubilee weekend. So I will have to go shortly. Apologies.
Good. Well, thank you very much, Sarah, Tom, Sean, David, Marco, Alvaro, and all the audience for coming today. We will follow up on this. We'll most probably have some workshop hands-on thing in the future here at Cenfotech. I learned a lot. Thank you very much. I don't know, Alvaro, would you like to send some words before we part?
Yes, first of all, thank you to everyone, and thank you for the experience that you gave the students to know about how the things are changing in the industry. I think that's an invaluable experience, especially because a lot of them are just on the verge of getting their degree. So it's important that they know how the industry is going and all the options they have, not only in the traditional programming way, but also in these platforms that are changing the way we interact as developers with the business side of the company. So thank you to Marco, to Tom, to Sean, David, Sarah, and to Ignacio to be the moderator today. And I hope we can do some kind of workshop in the future to show and to let people know about this kind of platform. And thank you for the opportunity to let the Universidad Cenfotech to be a leader in trying to let people know about new technologies.
David, thank you very much, Alvaro. David.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. I'd like to thank Sean, Sarah, Tom, joining us after working hours from the other side of the Atlantic. I know you guys have families and work and long weekends to get to, so thank you very much for joining us. I'd like to thank the university for allowing us to be part of this. I think it was a very interesting discussion. I will add that I am happy to hang around for another 20 minutes because I see more questions popping up, some of them very, let's say, personal about, how can I do this? How can I do that? So I'm very happy to hang around after the official session ends to answer a few more questions. I think Sean is also possibly still available a little bit. But thanks very much, Sarah, Tom. I know you guys have to go. Thank you, Marco from Sandor in Costa Rica for setting this up as well, and Ignacio for doing an excellent job on guiding us through this discussion. So thanks very much to everyone.
Thank you for having us. Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. Our weekend starts now. We have a 4-day weekend, so we're cracking open the gin later.
Bye-bye. Enjoy yourself.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Sarah. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
Ignacio, Alvaro.
Go ahead. I will turn my mic off.
I want to also say thank you to you, of course, to all the people that were customers of WEN, and also David, but especially to you that have organized also these webinars and all the students that get along with us today. And for this opportunity, I think it has a great experience with all of the three webinars, and I hope that the people have learned a lot from basics to more advanced elements and have a better idea of what no-code, low-code is.
Thank you, Marco, for sparking all this. It's because of you. And we also had Professor Edwin Aguilar as part of the public. And he's also been sponsoring this jointly with Alvaro, who is head of software engineering here. Wonderful.
Excelente. Vi que hay unas cuantas preguntas. Bueno, sorry, John. Sean, ya sé que tú me entiendes, así que...
I can follow the questions, but don't ask me to answer directly.
No, perfecto. Es que vi que hay unas preguntas que se hicieron en español, quizás hay gente que se siente más cómoda. No sé si alguien de aquí tenía otra pregunta que no se contestó o algo que querían preguntar que no se pudo. Como dije, yo puedo quedarme otros 20 minutos por si les interesa. Si no, voy a darle la oportunidad a Sean para presentar el slide que mencionó de cómo hacen sus proyectos. Gracias, Ignacio. ¿Algunas dudas, preguntas?
Yo nada más quería tenía una duda más que todo relacionada con la parte del costo para las empresas, especialmente las que están de nivel medio de ingresos hacia abajo, o sea, especialmente las pymes. Digamos,
Ujú.
si hay algún plan o si más bien la plataforma es más para grandes proyectos de estilo proyectos gubernamentales.
Sí, gracias, Álvaro. Tenemos de todo en los clientes. El enfoque principal está en el sector empresarial, o sea, digamos, mediano para arriba. Pero igual aquí en Panamá tenemos algunos pymes y en Holanda también que trabajan con web. Y tenemos planes para todo el mundo, digamos. Siempre va a depender de tu caso de uso. WEM, como casi cualquier otra herramienta low code, no code, suelen tener una anualidad, porque cuando tú compras una licencia te incluye de todo. Dependiendo de con quién vas, tienes el paquete de que, ok, hay una herramienta para crear algo, hasta hay una herramienta para crear algo y una plataforma donde lo puedo publicar, donde está el hosting, donde me cuidan la seguridad, donde, o sea, básicamente tengo que hacer clic en un botón de publicar, así como con un sitio web, con un tipo Wix, etcétera. Estas fáciles para publicar. Web está más hacia acá. Algunos otros sí requieren que tú manejas o gestionas tus propios servidores, etcétera, etcétera. Pero sí, aquí tenemos empresas aquí en Panamá de 5 o 10 usuarios que quieren tener un sistema sencillo, que están pagando, bueno, digamos una anualidad de alrededor de unos $2,000 anuales, que es competitivo si lo compares con... si están haciendo un poco de algo de CRM, que están haciendo algo de facturación electrónica, que normalmente, o sea, tienes que combinar como 3, 4 suscripciones o 3, 4 programas que quizás no están en la nube, etcétera, etcétera. Y definitivamente es competitivo, con la ventaja de que es full customizado y lo puedes crecer. O sea, cuando va creciendo tu negocio, no es que estás buscando otro proveedor, y hasta una empresa de 5 o 10 personas podría tener su departamento de TI, siendo alguien que se mete en el curso, que se mete a aprender cómo crear cosas alrededor del core que les creamos para ellos. Entonces, si quieren agregar funcionalidad alrededor de lo que tienen al inicio, porque se expande el negocio, porque nueva línea de productos, porque otra sucursal, cosas así, no es que siempre tienes que regresar a buscar alternativas, pero puedes ir evolucionando juntos. Obviamente con eso se va a crecer tu licencia, pero lo puedes hacer en el momento que lo necesitas. Es un poco el caso de Sara, que estaba aquí, de Mindful. Ellos inicialmente se acercaron porque les interesaba creación de prototipo rápido. Ellos están en un sector donde, bueno, están creando una aplicación, están creando un portal y parte están buscando clientes y en parte están buscando inversionistas. Y lo que llaman el vaporware antes, que era una idea y un mock-up, llegar con cliente, con inversionista y decir, mira, tengo algo, te va a encantar, ya no funciona tan bien hoy en día. Y si quieres crear una aplicación tipo, bueno, native mobile, fácil te va a costar unos 10 miles de dólares para crear una versión básica. Y ellos dijeron, pues, tengo que pagar para mi éxito antes de tener el éxito. Y esto es algo que puedes evitar con una solución tipo WEM, tipo no code, que tú creas esta parte de la funcionalidad que va a ser la más llamativa. Y con esto tú empiezas a acercarte de los clientes. Hasta les puedes dar acceso gratis por un rato, luego vas con inversionistas y ya no tienes que decir, mira, esta es mi idea y aquí hay unos slides, unos mockups. No, mira, aquí esto es lo que hemos hecho y vamos a agregar tal cosa. Y si es un cliente que luego dice, como le mencionó Sara, pero yo lo quiero así, hasta en una reunión así en vivo puedes estar agregando funcionalidad y van a ver, cuando dice que es personalizado, sí es cierto. Cuando dice que es rápido el retooling, sí es cierto. Y un poco lo mismo para pymes, ¿no? De que puedes crear algo, puedes hacerlo tú mismo si lo quieres. Hay un muy buen caso en el sitio de WEM que, es pyme en el sentido que no tienen mucha gente trabajando, pero sí son grandes en el turnover. Te lo voy a buscar, lo pongo aquí en el chat, pero básicamente alguien que sí dijo que, mira, yo necesito esta parte de un ERP y lo voy a construir, y se tomó el curso el gerente de IT, y creo que como en un mes había creado todo el sistema, haciendo el testing y ya estaban entrando los clientes, todo el mundo de adentro de la empresa y así. Así que sí es algo que te habilita para hacer muchas cosas. Pero bueno, todo cuesta dinero. Eso no se puede evitar.
Sí, sí, perfecto. Más bien, muchas gracias.
A ti, Álvaro. ¿Alguien más que tiene alguna pregunta? Si no, Sean, I know you want to share your Ferrari.
Yes, and first I will share it with you. Let me.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. Let me share my screen. No, I just do my whole screen, and then I need to click it and say share. Yeah, if correct, you see one slide with faces. Correct or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can get the dots and change the layout. From every one of us can change the layout so that.
Sorry, you want me to change or?
No. Each of us has to do it.
Okay. Yeah, I have a very big screen, so that makes it a little bit difficult. Maybe I will. But let me try something else so it is easier for all of you. Let's show me. I will share again. Fenster. And this should be working now. So basically, everyone should just see only the screen. Correct? You see the WEM innovation box and you see two people. Yeah? Okay. This is what I am living for. So earlier, David was saying we are working late after working hours. I am not working at all. I have so much fun in doing this, and I get so much energy from seeing happy people working together with low code, no code, that I can't say I'm working. So for me, it doesn't matter whether it's 5 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock in the evening. This is what I need to do. But the Ferrari, 2 years ago, I had a little vision. I like Formula One very much. So sorry for those who do not like Formula One, but it's just to create a piece of imaging on how I look in developing with no code. And in that time, Ferrari was not doing well. So I'm not sure whether my vision helps Ferrari to improve and now being a real competitor with our Macs. But this is the idea. And I call this really a hyper agile way of working with implementing new applications with low code. So first, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but on the middle top there it says circuit recognition. So the first thing you need to do is, what is the organization about? What is the culture? What is the structure? What is the architecture needed? Like recognizing the circuit on a Formula One track, you need to know when to go where. That helps you to get the project moving. For example, if I don't acknowledge the fact that we have an enterprise architecture that wants to know which application I'm building, it will block me at the end of the day, because everyone will say, hey, you didn't ask anyone from enterprise architecture. So, for example, this is the control system. So go and look for the environment. Where are you? And keep an eye for more or less the architecture of that organization. Check how the organization is feeling. I mean, if organization is in a very bad loss, yeah, you can try to implement systems, but mostly there is no money. Or when the culture is like evasive from innovative tooling, yeah, you have to approach in a different way with no code, low code. On the third basis, you set up the perfect team. And the perfect team is not only the team that works with it, it's not only IT staffing, it's the business, it's the process guys, it is IT, it might be customers, it might be suppliers. Everyone needs to be in the team and put him on expertise on the right moment. So not all together for the whole time frame of the project. No, okay, we're dealing now with customer information. At that point, you take the customer in line. So work, as we call it, without boundaries. So don't put it for yourself. Okay, I'm the one developing this application. No, you build it together in a wide scale. You make a sketch first. So we say in 4 or 5 hours, we build a sketch of an application that you can use. And then you build the proof of concept, minimal viable product. And then you tell yourself, well, am I still in line with the task that was given? So what was the problem? So in this imaging, it's saying like to drive up to a mountain with a Formula One car is not going to happen. And of course I can drive with a Formula One car, but it's not going to work. It's the same what we said earlier. If you want to build an accounting system, you're not going to do it with WAM. So when you build your scale model, take a moment and look back. What was the task at hand? What was the problem? Are we solving the problem, or are we creating a new problem? So really step back in that moment saying, okay, we have done all this. We have made a scale model, a minimal viable product. So is this really good for the task at hand? At that moment, you say go or no go. So you can still stop and you lose maybe 2 days of work. Then when you say, okay, let's go, then you're really gonna modelize your application. So you develop, in this case, the car, but you need to be aware because it goes so fast and people are getting so enthusiastic that it's very easy to go off track. Within 2 days, not looking with each other what you're doing, it could be that there is a new feature in the application that you're like, where did it came from? So create a proper way of looking at the track limits. So make that clear in the team. This is what we're going to build. This is what we're going to test. And when you go in a test, include all disciplines. So basically the opposite of the people that you put in the team to create it, you need to have in your test. And then you go. And then you make sure that you inform everyone, what have you built? What are you expecting? And you create a monitoring system. And this is basically what you need to do, creating a no-code application. And it's not different than creating a standard high-code application. It is only a very fast way of doing it. So basically what I'm saying is the business can create their application, but don't ask them to create anything about safety measures. Don't ask them anything about making documentation for the application. So that's what I'm trying to do here. And if you look at that, then I have one more slide to show. What we did is we created, amongst many, but a central login system, single sign-on connected to the Dutch government. We have a governmental look and feel. We have version control built in. We worked on procurement, dashboarding, contracting, in the finance department and in the business. So we have done a lot of applications that already, in this case, last October, were running live. So I wanted to share this with you, especially my Ferrari, because that is really the way to look at making an application. So don't just make the application. What is the need? What is the problem? And solve the problem at hand.
Oh, wonderful.
I will try to.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sean. A parenthesis. Marco knows this, and Alvaro as well. But I do collaborate with, it's called the Technology Research Club, Club de Investigación Tecnológica, in Costa Rica. And we have more or less one talk, 1 hour, 1 hour and a half talk every month. And if you feel all right, I would love to invite you to talk about your experiences doing this kind of, I mean, not the specifics, but this kind of rapid value-driven application development for a government.
Yeah.
Which might provide a wonderful and inspiring exemplar to us all in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
I will contact you. I will contact you and see if you can fit into your agenda if you're willing. But it would be wonderful and an honor if you could come and share your views with a public which is mostly CIOs, from mid-size to large-size Costa Rican scale companies.
Yeah, well, I would just say let's do it, because I love to share, especially around the world. I worked for 5 years in tuberculosis and I run around the world already. But I think it's good to do it at least with David, because if there is any explanation needed in Spanish, then he's a better and faster translator than me.
You can do it in English, but if you feel okay with Spanish, we can do it in Spanish.
Yeah. But I mean, like, it's good to make that combination as such.
I'm happy to jump in. I'm happy to jump in and provide references outside of government frameworks and so on.
Yeah.
If
you need me, I'm there. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And Marco already knows that I've already invited him. We need to fix a date. So I would like to showcase these ideas into CIOs in Costa Rica who will not attend this kind of seminar, which is more like a university seminar today. But that's a forum, an enterprise forum, and I would like to invite you.
And I think you have something to offer for them as well from the university perspective, because you are the capacity container for them to increase their business opportunities.
Yes.
And that's why I earlier mentioned stringently, a company doesn't need to do the capacity all internally. You need to have traineeships. You need to have university staffing, because you create a collaboration on the knowledge, on the recent knowledge from a university, but you also input reality knowledge from businesses at this moment, what they are running through. So it is really a beneficial benefit for all. So
we've actually had demand here from government and from private sector, but mostly from government. And hey, can you please teach the people who want to do their práctica profesional some WEM before they come and join us, so that they can do more than make coffee and do a little bit of Python, working on boring stuff somewhere in the corner of a big application. They're doing something. Because the people that we had a few people from that we had put it through our trainings, very much similar profile as a lot of the young people here present today, come and do their practica with us, and they are now working with us, the majority of them already, and they were also the envy of all their classmates, because all their classmates, they were working on small, boring little bits of pieces that the high-level programmers didn't want to do, so they got outsourced. Some of them weren't even working on programming or creating software at all. And our guys built an entire platform from scratch for one of our clients within the few months, and most of what they were doing was learning. So, yeah. And I think there's a separate discussion to be had with
yes.
Alvaro about let's see if we can do something with Simfotech.
That can happen also here with Andor and WEMP.
Exactly.
We offer all that.
So Marco is looking for people.
Okay, so excellent.
Thank you, guys.
I thank you all, Sean, David, Marco, for propitiating all this, Alvaro for sponsoring and offering the space at the university. Thank you to the ladies who have remained with us till the end. And we have over 20 people attending. I'm very happy about it. So we'll discuss in the future for a date at a different forum. And thank you very much for sharing your experiences, knowledge, and all the happy things that are contagious. Sean.
We will talk about the bad stuff some other day.
We should go above, well beyond just satisfaction, but having fun.
Okay, thank you.
Doing good things that improve the quality of life of people. That's a wonderful thing.
And by the end of the day, every employee in your company is so happy that they feel the same like me. We are not working. And that empowers so much in your business. So,
Confucius said that.
Yeah, so that's how it goes. I'm looking forward to the meeting, and I am very happy that you invited me. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we see each other in the future. David has my contact information, so if anyone want to have some more clarification or ask questions, please do so. Send me an email or contact me. Email is most preferable in the time relay, but please feel free to do so. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, ladies. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.